Ruth Bader Ginsburg in the Supreme Court to kind of chill everybody out a little bit because there is a mass freak out going on, which I understand. Also, most importantly, I just got out of the shower, so please excuse the slick, cool guy hair I got going on. But I got into the shower for you. I did that for you because the smell would have come through the inner tubes and knock you on your ass. So listen, this is all for you. It's all for you all. Okay, before we get into Ruth Bader Ginsburg here in a second, I'm doing a live stream tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern with Eleanor Goldfield. We will be answering your emails, your comments and discussing topics with you. So I'd love for you to join me 8 p.m. Eastern. Only at youtube.com/moment of clarity or facebook.com/LeeCampComedian. Please subscribe to the YouTube page. Okay, let me get into, here's some facts about Ruth Bader Ginsburg and the Supreme Court that are basically redacted, not talked about in your mainstream media, or manipulated in your mainstream media for good reason. Now, I'm not going to delegitimize Ruth Bader Ginsburg's legacy. She made a lot of important votes that the country has needed at various times, a lot of them, a lot of important votes. So I'm not saying she didn't, but let's first of all remember that the women's rights movement was large scale. It was not just Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It is masses of people, thousands, millions standing up for these rights. And that's when the Supreme Court reacts to a sentiment in the country, to the writing on the wall that things need to change. The same happened with gay marriage, where the Supreme Court, if you'd had that same decision 10, 20 years before, would not have voted to allow gay marriage. It had to do with massive movements across the country. And so that's where the power really lies. The Supreme Court is a response to those kind of movements. And I think that's an important distinction that a lot of people are not making. A lot of people are saying Ruth Bader Ginsburg has died, therefore all is lost. Any advancement in society that's happened since she was born is over. That is not the way to view it, and I think that's incorrect. Now, this is not to say that Trump is not going to try and put some fucking awful, sniveling, snake oil salesman villain in as the next Supreme Court justice. But again, there are some things that people are not talking about, not thinking about, that are very important. For one thing, the Supreme Court should not have this much power. They have the amount of power they have is because a lot of it is because the Congress has completely just let go of their power. A combination of gridlock and a two-party show system that's a complete fraud, and not serving the people of America has put more power in the hands of the Supreme Court. On top of that, the Supreme Court should also not be for life. The fact that it is a lifetime appointment is fucking ridiculous. I mean, that idea was first put into law when people lived to like 50, if they were lucky, and if they never had a drink, they lived to 50. That was like the old grandpa on the stoop who, like kids, would walk up and hear him regale them of tales of ancient eons ago. That guy was 43, okay, when back in the day. This was a time when people did not live to fucking 90 years old on a regular basis. There is no reason that the Supreme Court should be for life. Let's just get that out of the way. Also, and by the way, please share this video as you're watching so that we can get some more people over here. But also, it's completely undemocratic. The idea that we have this wonderful, noble democracy here in America, and yet the highest court in the land is unelected, and the people have no say in it, and it is for life. Does that not raise any eyebrows? No one's concerned that this is like the least democratic system you could ever fucking have? Maybe that's what we should talk about every time one of these justices dies, and then we have this crazy fight across America as to who the next justice will be, and everyone tries to vote shame everyone else. You have to vote for Biden because the Supreme Court, or you have to vote for the right wing. You have to vote for Trump, whether you hate him or not, because of the Supreme Court. Every time we have those discussions, really the discussion should be, why the fuck did the Supreme Court end up this way? And we need to fucking change it if we actually want to have any form of slight democracy or even representative democracy in this country. So that's another point that you don't hear on a lot of your mainstream media. And I think this next point might be the most important as people are losing their goddamn minds. I mean, there are people in bunkers right now with baked beans and firearms because Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. Now, you probably should be in a bunker with the baked beans and firearms, but for separate reasons altogether. But in terms of the difference between whoever fucking awful human being that Trump puts into that position or whatever, quasi-awful human being that a Biden or Obama or whatever would have nominated, something you never heard mentioned is that Merrick Garland, the guy who did not get into the Supreme Court that Obama nominated, because remember the Republicans held off Obama from being able to pass a Supreme Court justice during his final, whatever it was, 6 months in office. And they, it was complete ridiculous situation. But Obama put forward Merrick Garland. The Republicans did not let it go through, so therefore Garland is not on the Supreme Court right now. Once the Republican got into office, they put forward Kavanaugh, right? Brett Kavanaugh. Trump did that, another pretty awful human being. And what is never mentioned through all this, through the whole Kavanaugh fight, through the whole fight over Garland, what's never talked about in your mainstream media because it doesn't fit with the thesis statement that they put forward, which is these two judges are the polar opposites. They are completely different worlds apart in the way they view our courts, our system, and either you get the one good guy view or you get the awful view, right? That's put forward by whether it's CNN or MSNBC or NPR or Fox News. Fox News also is doing their version of it, right? The good guy is Kavanaugh and the bad guy is whoever Obama puts forward. They did that too. So something you need to know is that Merrick Garland and Brett Kavanaugh sat on the bench together in whatever federal court before either of them was in the Supreme Court. And they voted together 91% of the time. 91%. Because that is the amount that people that are at the level, judges that are at the level that they could even be considered for the Supreme Court, that is the amount they vote together. Because they're voting on a corrupt, unfettered capitalist system, and they wouldn't generally be a judge if they weren't in agreement of that system. They would not be one of the higher level judges. They're not going to make the short list for the Supreme Court unless they agree with all of that. So there is a reason that Merrick Garland and Brett Kavanaugh voted together 91% of the time. Because that's how much they agree, okay? That it is 9% that we're really arguing over. Now, again, I'm not saying that there's never been a vote in the Supreme Court where it was 5-4, and the 4, in my opinion, or whoever's opinion, were the fucking right ones, and the 5 were the wrong ones, and if we just had it 5-4 the other way, it would have made all the difference. I get there are votes like that, but in terms of these judges that are put forward as next Supreme Court justices, they're not as different as a lot of people claim. They're not night and day. Just to repeat, if they're getting to that short list for either presidential side, either of our corporate parties, if they're getting to that short list, then they already agree with most the core tenets of our fucking American system, of our corrupt, endless war system. And that's why, and here's my final point that is not being said. I think it's my final point. We'll find out in a minute, won't we? Here's my final point about what's not being said in your mainstream media, is that the Supreme Court, yes, some important decisions. I'm glad gay marriage is legal, but I'm glad Roe v. Wade happened, but they are not, like, they're not addressing most of the core issues of this country. When was the last time the Supreme Court stood up, truly and forcefully in the face of the national security state? Stood up against endless war, the endless war crimes committed by our country. Stood up against the unfettered, endless greed of Wall Street, exploiting everybody. The Supreme Court, either you could argue, oh, well, that's not their jurisdiction, oh, that's not really their job to do that, in which case, okay, then that means they don't matter in 90% of the core issues. Or you could argue, well, yeah, they have failed to do that. They have failed to stand up against those things, in which case you're saying that they agree with all those things. They agree with unfettered greed on Wall Street and the exploitation of the average American worker and the hundreds of millions of lives that have either been destroyed or uprooted around the world by our U.S. military over the past many decades. Either they are not important in those decisions or they agree with them. You get to decide which it is. Either one does not speak good things for the Supreme Court. So all of this, everything I've said, I believe, over these past few minutes, I think it's 5 facts, are completely unmentionable on your mainstream media. Despite all the endless debate, like if you turn on the news right now, you will see them debating about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, debating about who Trump's putting forward, and debating about who Trump put forward last time, Kavanaugh, and debating about this, and debating about that. And you will not hear any of these core facts that I have just gone through that are so crucial. So, again, I'm not saying Ruth Bader Ginsburg didn't make some important decisions. I'm not saying she was a bad person, but I'm saying that if you look at how fucked up our system is and the environmental collapse we're in the middle of and the endless greed we're in the middle of and the exploitation we're in the middle of, the Supreme Court is a fraction of that. It is, even on their best day, even on their most important day, they are a little bit of it, so therefore you can't argue about it. I'm not saying never mention them again, but they are a little fraction of it. And most of the time, they're siding on the side of the national security state and the war state and the unfettered corporate destruction. If you look at Citizens United and so many other decisions, that's where they are, and that's where they've been for years. This is nothing new, and so. Yes, I think that I would rather that Ruth Bader Ginsburg still be alive than whoever the fuck Trump is going to either force in or maybe fail to force in. But here's fact number 6 for you. Let's see if the Democrats actually fucking stand up against this. Let's see if the corrupt corporate Democrats that claim that, oh my God, Trump is horrible. And let's see if they really put on a real show of actually putting their well-being, their money, their re-election on the line by actually, and I mean all of them. I don't mean that there won't be some. There will be some, but all of them put all that shit on the line to actually stand up against this nomination. I'd be surprised if they did. They could, but I'd be very surprised because as we've seen again and again, is, as with Brett Kavanaugh, is they make a big show about how horrible these things are, and then when push comes to shove, they just back down. They just go, oh, Republicans got us. Oh, God, I wish we could have put up a tougher front. Man, that was close. We almost did. We almost stood up for something, but last minute, they just got away with it. And why is that? Because it's all about money for the vast majority of them. At the end of the day, it's about the votes and the money. And money is not moral core. It's not some sort of ethical center. It's not any of those things that would really drive someone to stand up and fight back against this shit. So they'll raise a stink. There's going to be a fucking stink over this upcoming court battle. But let's see if they go beyond stink. I mean, the Democrats are good at stinking. Let's see if they go beyond that, though. A couple of quick things. As I mentioned earlier, I have a live stream tonight at 8 p.m. We'll be going for a full hour. We'll be answering your questions. Thank you guys, everybody, for commenting right now. Unfortunately, on these, I don't have the time to answer the comments. But at the 8 p.m. Eastern live stream, I will be answering comments, and I'll be on with Eleanor Goldfield, and we will be donating all the super chats to a great cause and all that shit. So the only place to get that is youtube.com/momentofclarity or facebook.com/LeeCampComedian. And please hit subscribe. Please share this because we're suppressed like fucking crazy. So every time you share, it really helps. And keep fighting out there, guys. Hope you watch the new episode of Redacted tonight. If you haven't, check out youtube.com/redacted tonight. The new episode is there. All right, keep fighting.